Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here today to review All of Us Are Dead, Season 1, Episode 8. So, I don't want to lie, a little frustrated by this episode. A little bit of just like, wow, for this episode. Because not only does it just, like, does ton of stuff that I don't like about an episode, but it does something even like worse towards the end. Let's just say in a very cryptic like sense. Maybe you'll figure that out. Cliffhanger. Yeah. So not only like there's like some slivers of good things in this episode. We finally get to see what happened with a certain character, so to speak. We get to go on and really have our characters bore me to death also in this episode. To where I'm just like, I want to skip this episode. I know what it is, and so let's skip this. But there was a sliver of important thing that I'm like, aha, finally. People could go on and like, yeah, you finally got to see what happened to this one character. And I'm like, yeah, because I like that kind of thing in the show, where it's all of a sudden this person isn't just gone. They have to show what happened with this person. Uh, but man, do they keep having to add in those Mr. Lee footages. They just need to, like, it's like Jurassic Park. It always finds a way to just keep continuing to have some kind of footage. I don't even understand really what that footage was about. I don't understand the real importance of it, but it's still there for some odd reason. That we just keep clipping to Mr. Lee having footage or whatever. Again, like, I don't feel bad that they're just trying to come up with something for this guy continuing to do. Cause hey, freaking people gotta eat, people gotta sleep, people gotta fart, people gotta do what they gotta do. But when going into this episode is probably the worst episode, hands down, out of all the other episodes. There's slivers of interest. Well, there's also two slivers. So we get the one sliver of what happens with one character, and we also get to know what happens with the one detective with of course orange gibberish. We get to find out what happens there. Still orange gibberish number 2, which means shh, which means crap, which means dookie, which means the poo of characters. But hey, like at least what I ended up saying could possibly happen from the previous episode ended up happening in this episode. So I'm like, well, yeah, like this guy needs to go on and figure this out. And so they ended up figuring it out. So here's the greatest part about this episode reusing footage. That feels just great. When you're like, not only reusing footage, but then having footage on a loop is just great. It's not annoying at all. It's not annoying for people just it's really just not annoying to just re-loop a footage. No, it's not annoying. You get what I'm saying there? It's not annoying at all. You show. It's like the Power Rangers episode where all of a sudden it's like the anniversary episode and they have to go on and like, hey guys, remember every single Power Ranger season? Because we're going to be shoving out some Blu-ray and DVD box set of all. Like, that's what it feels like this episode really is. Of just like, hey guys, remember the stuff that you had already seen and you can still see at any point in your life? Let's remind you about that in this episode. I'm like, no, I don't need. No, thank you. I could go and watch the other episode. Appreciate it, but no, I don't need a recap of. You have a recap at the beginning of the episode. I don't need another recap through an episode. Just no. And a lot of people would be okay with that, and I know like some people like I'm fine with the episode. I'm okay with reusing footage. I know. So we would disagree upon that. I just think it's a waste. You could go and you can go and fuse whatever you were doing in this episode in the next one, and just give a lesser count. It doesn't have to be an exact number, but I guess Netflix would probably just go on and be like, Well, yeah, but we need a certain number of episodes to just go on the show because we just need to have a thick, juicy, succulent channel or show that has a certain number of episodes. So if you just have a filler one in there somewhere, that'd be great. Just kind of have some kind of side footage that you weren't obviously using. Just shove it all in one episode if that's okay. Because that's what this episode is. So let's go on to it. Let's go into that double five time territory. Let's just go into that spoilers of this one. Let's go into spoiler time. Spoiler time. It's about that time we get to spoil this episode. So we have Yoon-ji. Of course, again, I think they had to like remind us who this person was because again, she now has a completely different coat on. And I was like, okay, if I wasn't confused by when she had her hair up, now she has a completely different coat. Thinking it's a completely different person, sadly, because that's how just I'm like her about all these characters. So Yoonji goes on and is to be walking out of this school, and we have all of these visuals just getting recycled over and over again about the one teacher who, of course, is to be Jung Young Nam, which, of course, Yoon Ji was to bite into in previous episode. We have this teacher going on and telling Yoon Ji that there has to be a reason why she was bullied. There has to be a reason of why she was bullied. There has to be a reason. Why? Because footage. Anyways, so we have to showcase that Yoon-ji was bullied at some point because the first episode would kind of tell us that. And so we're kind of just recycling footage from the pilot. And so Yoon-ji just gets a bike and then just bikes away. There's about let's realize this. Even though this girl is to be technically half zombie, half human, out of the 30 cars that are just lined up in front of this school, hence why I still had the problem about the archery team and them not going on and getting one single, dare say, car. Now we see a line of cars that are all in front of the school. Even makes more rational sense upon my brain of what the archery team should do. But then when we have the archery team in this episode, they're talking about going on the roof. What is up with these people going on the roof? What is this, Tremors? The Kevin Bacon movie Tremors? Why is everybody so tempted to go onto the roof? Don't they realize that they are going to starve to death at some point? Or just get this thing called, I'm thirsty. I'm so thirsty. Yeah, like, what are you going to do? Plus, now they have no convenience of toilet or sink or nothing, those archery people, if they go on the roof. Because we're obviously going to have a problem with the school, the class members when they go on the roof. Because stuff's going down. So Yoonji goes and grabs this bike and is to make her way off without being eaten. Tra-la-la-la-la. So let's talk about those archery people for this episode. So we go on and we have the archery team. And we now have where we of course have Jun Sung. So Jun Sung, the guy who had gotten the knife or the injury. We have one guy who's going and kind of having this guy on some dolly, and that's how they're gonna kind of get him out of there. He's being dollied now, and so they're figuring like, yeah, this is how we'll get him out here this time. And I'm like, you guys could have gone for any car, small one, big one, fat one. By the time that you could have constructed two different ways to get this guy out of here. Just saying. So we have this guy being on a dolly, and so all of this just kind of still goes nowhere. We just have these archery team members that just kind of bail on what they're doing, and we just have Jun Song who's going on saying, "Will I die from this injury?" It's like, no, you'll die from evidently old age because it's going to take you a while. Well, you're going to die from starvation or thirst because you guys are no longer in a bathroom that can conveniently have either one of those things, hunger or thirst. You probably eat your own crap. If it comes down to it, it might just be like, just make it seem like something else. And I know people eating dookie isn't the best thing, but hey, you're eating something. No! Hey, like, they were dumb and like, is the place that they're in, do they have a bathroom in there? That's my question. If they have a bathroom, they're saved. But if they don't have a bathroom, then there is no water. Then they. At least you can kind of make it a while without eating anything. You could probably go on and, like, somehow make a makeshift kind of food you can just consume and figure something out. And go and look at a person like, he looks kind of tasty. Cannibalism, it's a horrifying truth that eventually, every once in a while, if you're starting to not have food, some people start to look good. Hence why you have a lot of zombie shows. So we go on into this story, and so the only real thing that's coming out of the archery team is that we just have the one girl who is Park Mi Jin, who is going on and learning how to be an archer. And then the one archery girl is to mention that things weren't working out for her before this whole zombie apocalypse was happening, anyways. So, technically, the only thing that's going to benefit this girl in this world is the fact that she is to be an archer. Now, like, and like, I don't know why that these characters always have to bring back the past. The past is a non-existing entity now. Like, the past is basically dead, and I never get that from any zombie character. Like, they have zombie to worry about now. They don't have, like, man, yeah, like, my life was just not going as well. Like, man, it just sucked. Like, I wasn't gonna be able to make it into any college. I wasn't. Who cares? You're gonna die soon, probably from starving. Yeah, like, I was just in the middle of the road of life, and things were. Who cares? You're gonna die soon. You're probably gonna die in the next episode. Why does anything from your past matter now? Probably anybody you know is probably dead. You're probably gonna go home thinking, oh, hey, mom, pa, and they're both gonna be dead. You're gonna go on and have a dog that you're gonna find out is dead. You're gonna go. Like, how do I have to cement to these people their life is now meaningless because the world is now dead? The world is now over. Everything that they knew is gone. So they all need to go and find every single building that is to have a credit card thing in it for credit for anyone and blow that up. Pull off a freaking Fight Club thing where, like, they blow up a building that credit goes down to zero. And so, like, if the zombie world does go back the way it is, then that will be the one thing to do to wipe out credit. So that way nobody has any loans, nobody has any debt. That's the thing to do in a zombie apocalypse. To blow up those buildings. Pull the Fight Club thing and do the right thing for everybody. But there's a paper trail. Where? Where is there a paper trail? Blow up all the banks. There'll be no paper trail. Just tell everybody that you're a millionaire now. Steal all the money. Just find $1 million. Rob a bank right now. Pull off the Army of the Dead film where you're just robbing banks because the world's ending. So you'll have $1 million once it goes back to the way it is. So Now let's cover the classmates. We don't have any of the adult stuff going on in this episode besides the one teacher and Mr. Lee going on and having some video that doesn't really like 100% matter to me because most of this episode just is like it is what it is. So the sliver of importance within this episode, let's go on let's go and cover the orange gibberish stuff. So we have the detective who's going on and talking to Orange Gibberish, putting a brace on this guy's leg by kind of like taping his leg, and so we have the detective that's saying that Orange Gibberish's leg is not broken. So this guy was wrong about it. Maybe his foot just fell asleep. Not quite sure. So maybe it's just like maybe he tore his ACL or maybe he tore his tibia, livia, bolivia. I don't know. He tore something. He ripped out something. I don't know. Maybe he tore out his cap. I don't know. So I said some leg stuff, but then I just kind of improvised after that. So for you leg doctors, you know exactly where I messed up there. So this detective is going and talking to Orange Gibberish, and really the detective here is to go on and ridicule Orange Gibberish for going into this zombie apocalypse for likes and views. And I would have been just like, well, some people are viewing this show for likes and views. Or just views. You don't have to do any likes. So, detective, I you, but then I also just reward you for the fact that Orange Gibberish is a schmuck who's a moron that is to just go on and be a person that is to risk his life to, yeah, have this live stream where, yeah, he can quite possibly get killed. You know what? I would be okay with Orange Gibberish if he kind of knew what he was doing and went in there and then was doing it for likes and views, but he like had a massive like strategy of it all. Then I would feel differently. Then I would just be like, oh no, this guy knows what he's doing. And I would just be like, oh, okay, cool. Like, we have a smart person that is going to come in there, like, fully knowledge to the gills and whatever. But we have a guy who's like, yeah, I just want to myth bust that this is to have a zombie apocalypse or not. Zombie movies exist so this guy can watch every single zombie movie and realize what to do and what not to do. But instead, anyways, so we end up finding out that the officer, that of course was with the little kid and the baby, and we didn't see the baby in this episode, so I'm a little miffed. I wanted to see baby in episode. If we don't see baby in every episode, it's a waste to have a child in a show, baby. Anyways, so the officer is coming back to say, hey guys, I didn't leave you. Like, I just wanted to get a bus. Because that was actually a heavily intelligent idea. Good for this person. So, because we had him just have a scooter, and he was like, hey, I'm gonna get out of here. And we were like, but then he comes back and he is like, we love this guy again because he does the right thing. Like, I'm kind of waiting for them to kind of like drive around and try to help people out and whatever, so we can find some like more random people that we can eventually go, ooh, this is a cool character. But anyways, so we have it to where the detective is to jump onto the bus, and then Orange Gibberish, of course, is taking his sweet time because he tore his leg somehow, or he broke off a foot into somebody's butt. I don't know. So Orange Gibberish is jumping, but he doesn't get a really good jump, and he gets like halfway onto the bus, and so the detective is like grabbing him, trying to pull him in. Like, man, this guy, this Orange Gibberish. But it's kind of funny because the detective is like making fun of his name every single time, where the guy always has to correct him. It's orange gibberish, and he's calling him uh, like onion something or some goofy kind of name. Uh, like, why does he have to go on and still be called orange gibberish? Can we say that? Why can't he just be Phil now? Like like, is he still sticking to that YouTube persona? Like, I'm not gonna go if you know what, if I'm on here, I'll be Mortal Movie Buff or whatever name that this is going to be eventually at some point in the distant future if I ever decide to change it for whatever reason. Maybe legal reasons. Maybe like Immortal Movie Buff with two O's is all of a sudden like coming to me like, hey, you can no longer be this name. Whatever. Um, but like immediately when I would be in a zombie apocalypse and I'm not doing a video like covering it, because yeah, I would be that person. I would be Phil. His name's not Phil? Of course it's not. Anyways, so his name is Huyven. Yeah, my name is Huyven. His name is Huyven Legowitz. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, uh, so yeah, I would go on, like, we have Orange Gibberish that's saying his name is Orange Gibberish for whatever reason. So, we go on and we like, we're having this guy just get out of here, and that's great. So let's move on. So the another interesting thing that I think I can get away with not having to tell like the whole episode. So we have Nayang, who was to be the girl in the one room with all the food. Just she was snacking away in that one office with all those donations. And like I was doing this because it's like I was trying to phantoming the finger to where this girl is just like, no one's gonna get into this door. They have problems with doors. So, and I thought they were never going to make it to the roof. I thought they were going to have to bail or come up with some other thing. So, Nayang goes on and she is to eventually go back in the room where evidently there's no zombies now, but there's also like no like real furniture in that room anymore, as if like they took all the furniture out because they had to pawn it back off to kind of sell more for the show. So we had Nayang that is to see this one zombie that's kind of just still stepping on this piano, and so Nayang puts this the camera stick thing, the camera stand, uh, to have this zombie not step on this thing, and so she grabs a little camcorder, goes into the room, and is to watch the video of all the kids going on and mentioning things. So I'm like, wasn't Nayang being able to hear every single thing that all of these people were saying? How? Maybe she forgot a step or two, or maybe she was kind of hearing like through the door, so maybe she couldn't 100% hear everything, or maybe when it like the somebody was closest to the door, maybe she could hear them. But I don't know. Maybe this girl doesn't hear all that well. I don't know. So this girl is replaying the whole video that like the camcorder is to be dying anyways. I'm like, please tell me that this is gonna die at a convenient spot. That is all of a sudden just like, oh, like the most important bit of knowledge she's gonna like, it's gonna stop right there. So Nayang goes and is to watch this camcorder with all this stuff, replaying again another thing from a previous episode. And then Nayang goes on and is to watch Chung Song, who is to mention that he was the one who was to kill Jiang, of course, his friend from episodes before, and that Chung Song is trying to tell his mother to figure out a way to tell that guy's parents that he's a zombie now. Don't think you're gonna have that problem, buddy. Because your mother, dead. Or wait, she's undead. So, yeah. So, we go on and we have Nayoung that, of course, is to realize, it's like, oh my god, well, I technically turned this guy into a zombie, but this kid is, like, taking all the credit? Well, that guy. So, Nayoung decides that she's gonna grab all this food and possibly leave because she's just that ticked. Because I don't think she's going to go on and get all this food and give it to these guys that are on the roof. I think she's like, F those people. I'm going to go on and I'm going to go and F off. Find a car, drive my way out of here because I have other things to do. So all of a sudden, Nayoung is to get this big thing of a bag of food, and she's like, "I'm peacing out. Like, I guess there's no zombies in this room, so I'm just gonna make my way elsewhere. Hopefully, I don't die." So this girl had it made in the shade in this one room. No one would have ever noticed her. She would have had so much food and so many drinks. She would have lived forever if that's what it took. But in all actuality, we also had it before UG was to leave. She was to set a part of the school on fire, which means that there's only so long that these people are going to be able to stay at the school because the school is on fire. So, these people are going to be on the rooftop and the school's going to burn down and they're going to die. So, man, does that suck, but oh well, like, maybe there's going to be another copter that comes and sees them, this big, massive SOS sign that they took so much time to do in this video, or this episode. So, Naya is all of a sudden bumping into Guinam. And I'm like, well, how is she gonna die? Guinam hasn't really been all of that nice or polite to anybody. You would have thought that maybe Guinam would have actually had maybe feelings for Nayoung for some reason, and all of a sudden, like, they could eventually be, like, there could have been finally a turn where Guinam is like, oh no, I liked this girl, and so I'm going to be her friend. No. So Guinam goes on and is to mention to Nayoung, it's like, hey, you hungry? You hungry? And she's like, well, yeah, kind of. Guinam's like, well, I'm hungry too. So, freaking Naya is to die. Or maybe she turns into a zombie. That'd be cool. I think a lot of people who'd probably want to do a zombie show would probably want to become a zombie, because that's always cool. As long as it's not one of those, like, really difficult zombies where you have this, like, weird goofy thing that you have, like, your leg is broken or some goofy thing, because that sucks. Anyways, so, but we had it where also Naya was to remember what happened to Miss Park. While both of them were running off at night, we found out that a zombie, maybe Guyong, was going on and biting into Miss Park. And so Nayoung goes on and goes into this room, and Miss Park closes the door. And so Mrs. Park is telling Nayoung, it's like, well, hey, like, you're not a bad person. Like, if anything, you just got scared, like everybody else is right now. So we have Miss Park, like, changing slowly but surely in front of Nayoung. And so all these zombies are in front of this door. And so, like, Mrs. Park is having this, like, last speech to Nayoung. I'm like, oh my god, this is great. But again, like, I'm seeing this person right in front of us, like, turn into this zombie. I'm like, oh, that sucks. Because, like, it bothered me. I'm like, what happened to Miss Park? What happened to this character? And then we found out she became a zombie, sadly enough. So probably everyone will eventually find out that she'll be a zombie at some point, right? When the kids have to go and free for their fight for their life. So I hope Guinan brought that bag of cookies when he's gonna go up to that rooftop later on in this episode. So now that technically everything is covered now, from all the small stuff, hopefully, now we go on and we now have to talk about the kids. Because the kids are going on building an SOS sign, a larger one. Because what ends up happening is the kids are to finally make it onto the rooftop, and the one kid that was at the rooftop the whole time was just telling these helicopter guys, "Yeah, I'm the only one here. Everyone else is all zombies. Don't go through the whole building or check anything. Just naturally assume I'm the only kid left, and just assume everyone else is all zombies because F all those people." They didn't even check. They didn't even check. They just naturally assumed like, oh, this one kid, oh, he must be fine. He must be the only one left. Everyone else is dead. Let's not check or anything. So they take this one kid, and immediately right after they take off, all of a sudden the kids finally get into the rooftop as we have Namra, who is to fight off Guinam, and because she's like kind of like really strong, we find out. So we have Nayam who chucks Guinam into all the other zombies down this flight of stairs. And so the kids finally make it through the rooftop. And you would think that that door would be effed, that they can no longer use its door. But the door is fine, I guess. So the kids lock themselves onto the roof. And they're just trying to they're like, "Hey, Chopper, what's going on? Hey, we're over here." It's a chopper. No, I guess they can't really hear anything. So, yeah, they're like, "What are you doing?" So, they go on and make a bigger SOS sign because there's nothing else they can do. And then they go on and they try to start a fire, castaway style. Uh, and so we go on and we have them like starting a fire, and they're just rubbing a stick with their hands, and they're like, "Oh my god, we hopefully can just start this fire." And so all of a sudden we have them, and here's where we start to get pissed, like ticked off in the show. All of a sudden we have Namra, who's like, "Hey, here's a lighter. How much time did you waste in the show? Here's a lighter." So there's so much stuff that they waste so much time in this episode, and Namra's like, "Hey, here's a lighter, you sons of here's the lighter." And I'm like, "You know how long we've been doing this for?" She's like, "Well, here's a lighter." You, Namra. No wonder why they hate you. No wonder why they hate you, Namra. Cause you just here's a lighter, and like I'm like, "You, Namra. You." Namra's the best. Anyway, it's just a build of just annoying things in this episode, and that is just like another waste of time. So they go on and they ask Namra, it's like, "Well, hey, like, you smoke?" And she's like, "Yeah, I've smoked off and on for 30 years. You're only 10. So they go on and they put this fire together, and I'm just like, how are they gonna sleep? And didn't they in the last episode mention that they've gone 2 days without eating? And they're immediately thinking like, "Hey man, like 3 days, can we survive 3 days without eating?" Yeah, that's because nobody went into the cafeteria or saw a vending machine while they're walking by. Hey, look, there's a vending machine. Let's go and get some snacks. Let's steal a bunch of snacks. That's what we should have done. Vending machine, oh my god, there's a sponsorship right there. So, somebody could have just broke a vending machine. It could have happened. It could have Anyways, so I swear, if there's another episode where somebody breaks into a vending machine, I'm like, ha ha! They're taking every idea. So we have the people all on the roof, and now they're all of a sudden, once a campfire is to be brewing, all of a sudden people are starting to confess things. And I'm like, yeah, of course. They have to go on and do the stereotypical, like, hey, let's reveal our deepest, darkest secrets because we're going to die tomorrow anyways, right? Or die from starvation, it seems. So we go on and we have Dae-soo, who is to go on and re-sing his song with the rest of the group that are kind of half into it, half out of it. Because they're just like, dude, I'm freaking hungry. I don't give a shit about your song. But hey, it sounds cool, and plus it eats up more time. We also have Dae-soo, who's confessing from one of the students that are luckily still alive that he likes the archery girl that is possibly still alive. Uh, and so we're like, oh great. So once they meet up with these archery team conveniently in some episode, we're gonna find out oh Dae-soo's girlfriend is still alive. It seems like the one girl is to supposedly have an interest in Dae-soo. And you know what? If I were Dae-soo, I would just be like, dude, take what you can get right now. Like, if this girl's into you, freaking go with it. Because you can go on and find out that your girl that you really like is dead. So, uh, love convenient. Become love convenient. And it's kind of funny. It's hilarious. So we have Bear Sue that is like Numra, and so we have the one guy who's kind of like miffed that Numra is to be first against him because he's always second. He's always second for everything. And I'm like, well, get ready to be second when you probably die soon. I was another person to die before Namra. Why couldn't Namra die and then me? Maybe he'll be the first to die. No, wait. Here's how it works. He'll be the first to die before Namra, which will make him first at something. So that's how they'll work it in the story. They're like, ha, I died before Namra. I was first. That's how they'll work it. That's how he'll be first now. So that's what I was trying to say. So we also have it to where all the students are just saying like, well, hey, did you hate all of us? Is that the reason why you were listening to music all the time because you hated all of us? She was like, no, it's I just don't have any friends. Huh? So Namra was because she didn't have any friends, she was avoiding having friends by listening to tunes, to the earbuds. Yeah. So she, considering she didn't have friends already, she just hated everybody to the point of just listening to music. Just that whole stretch of thing there was just like I don't have any friends, so I just hate everybody, and I listen to music because I just don't have any friends. So all y'all, because I'm just like, wow, Namra. Well, you have a boyfriend, so suck it. You have a boyfriend now, so technically that is a friend. So now you have one. So shut the f up. I don't have any friends. You have a boyfriend. Shut up. You have a friend now. Be happy. So we go on and everybody's confessing stuff. We have one guy that is to have the sister, the archery uh, sister, and he kind of has his story, which who cares less. So the bigger reveal is that Chung's song is to finally reveal that he loves Anjo, or that he likes her, whatever that means. So we go on. We have Anjo who's trying to like want to know like, hey, who Chong Song, like, tell me who, like, the girl that you like is. Tell me now. And then once he finally reveals, she's like, oh, really? So Anjo walks off, and Barasu is telling Anjo, like, hey, go after her. So Chong Sung is talking to Anjo, and he's like, well, you never really liked me? Like, not even a little? Like, not even because, like, the world is going to end and you're probably going to be alone? And so Anjo is just like, no, I'm sorry. Oh. And, like, so even in a zombie apocalypse, Chong Song is still gonna have to go after that zombie before Anjo will want any slice of that, so supposedly, so to speak. So I'm like, wow, this guy even in a zombie apocalypse gets rejected. So Chong Song is to walk off, and so Anjo just kind of sits down. All of a sudden, we have Guinam who is going and climbing on this pipe to make it to the roof, and so Guinam is to make it to the roof, and so we now have it where the cliffhanger of this episode is we have Guinam going and fighting with Chong Song, and he's kind of like putting his finger in his freaking eye. He's like, "Yeah, I want that eye. I want it." And so I'm like, "Yeah, we're really just gonna f up his eye in this show." Like, yeah, I'm sure he's gonna be blind. I can't see now, everybody. Yeah, I'm sure they're just gonna mess up his eye in this show. Yeah, no. I bet what's gonna happen is Guinam is gonna or Guinam, Namra is gonna come to Guinam and attack him and probably chuck him off this roof and probably kill him somehow, right? Because I can't think that Guinam is all of a sudden going to put like bygones aside because now he's on the roof. He doesn't need anybody. He doesn't need anything. He just needs to kill people, and maybe he'll barf on Chung Sung with all of his Nayang chunks because he can't keep any like human body parts down at some point. Maybe that'll be Chung Sung's saving grace. It's just Guinam barfing up Nayang's flesh, and so maybe that's how like Guinam won't kill Chung Sung, and then Namra just chucks him off this roof, and problem solved. But I don't know. So with that said, I think I'm gonna get out of here. I think I covered most of this episode for the most point. So with that said, I'm gonna get out of here. Bye bye. Bye bye.